What's up, everybody, and welcome to Rusty Fenders. Today, we're gonna be taking a look at the Squier Supersonic Telecaster. I tried one of these Supersonic a few months ago, and it arrived in pretty bad condition. But I decided to give it another shot. You can see that video on my channel. So I went online and I found this used one for $109, and I figured, it could be as bad as the last one, but I mean, at least it's only $100. So I went in, I purchased it, and I saw that there were some blemishes to it. So you can see they included the photos. There's some hairline cracks on the neck pocket. Now I'm not too concerned about that. This is actually like a defect of these guitars, or like the neck pocket design, where the finish cracks, and looks pretty new. It has the plastic on the pick guard, and yeah, everything checks out. I would say somebody had it for a few days and returned it. Maybe they got it delivered and they had those finish tracks on the neck, and they were like, yeah, I don't want this. And I understand. I'm not saying to keep something if you don't want to keep it. That's totally fair. I'm just saying, from regular use, you may actually have that develop on its own in the future, and it just depends on how tight that neck pocket is with the gloss. Right, when they paint it, it like just gives different dimensions. So enough about that. Let's jump right in and take a look inside of the guitar. And for sure, like, a lot of people ask me, like, is this a good guitar for beginners? And I'll say for sure. I would just go to a store and buy it from a store, because it's kind of a hassle to return a guitar. You have to bring it back to the FedEx location or something like that. So it will be nice if you can buy it locally. Now, if you cannot do that, just make sure you have a good return window, and that the delivery is free. Because if you have to pay to returning the guitar, shipping, you're pretty much gonna pay $100 for that. So these are Alpha electronics. I'll say this is the higher end of this type of electronics. So I'm surprised that it came in this guitar. And when I mean higher end, I mean there's some really bad import pots and switches. So this one is just okay. So you don't have to change it. I am gonna change it just because I have some parts laying around, and that's almost what I do here, right? That's what I do in the channel. So taking a look of everything looks super clean. One thing that I noticed about this pickup is look how thin it is. There's barely any coil in it. It looks like it was in a diet. So when I tested it, I noticed that I had to increase the volume of my amp. So it is very low count of those whines, right? So that's okay. It's an expensive guitar. You don't need to change it. Just because of that, you can just turn up the channel, your amp. But that does changes how the pickups sound. So I have some cheaper pickups that I'm gonna put in. My intention was to use classic vibe pickup that I have here. It turns out that was microphonic, so you're gonna see me install that pickup, but I ended up swapping it out just from like a cheap other Telecaster pickup. So this was the real problem that I found, the first real one, and is rust on the frets. And my previous experience with the Squier that I purchased before with the Supersonic, it also has rust on the frets, and these ones are not shiny at all. You cannot even see the light of my drill there. So I do have some classic vibe tuners that I'm gonna use, and the only reason that I'm gonna use the other tuners is because I like the style and the size of the peg itself. There was nothing wrong with these tuners. You can keep them. So at all points, what I'm doing in this video, remember, I'm not telling you have to change it. Some people are like, whoa, why would I do that if I'm a beginner guitarist? That's totally okay. Just keep the guitar how it is. If it plays well, if the three-way switch works, if there's no problem with the pots, you don't have to change anything, honestly. Most sound is actually in your amp and in your hands, and of course the pickups. So I'm not gonna fight with you about that. You might fight with me about dyeing your neck, and that is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm using leather dye, dark brown, and it looks dehydrated. When I see a pickup or a neck color like that, like so, light, it just looks like it needs to be hydrated. And of course, even if you hydrate it, it's not gonna change the color. So I always mess it up. I never use the right tape. I know the comments are gonna tell me there's some tape for that, and I'm like, this doesn't have any finish in the back, so that makes it more problematic. When it's gloss finish, it doesn't matter, right? Because you can wipe it off. So I am liking how it's going. I'm not finished yet. I just wanted to show you that there's a significant change in color, but it didn't turn black, right? I don't want it to be completely black. I just want it to look have a good color on it. All right. So for the frets, I use some sandpaper. So I use a 1000 grit sandpaper, sanding paper. Did I say sandpaper? That would be cool. So it just removed some of those frets, the top layer of those frets that were very rusted. And I would say there's just a problem with humidity wherever they're storing these guys, because it's not like they got wet or something. And of course they're not polishing them or putting anything on them that prevents them to getting rust. So at the moment it's looking pretty good, and I'm gonna show you a before and after in a moment. So it's looking very beautiful, and I think all these guitars just need a little bit of dye. Again, it doesn't have to turn it black, but look at that. Even the neck itself gets a little bit of color from that wax, and it just makes it just feels super smooth, and it looks a little bit better. So I really am a fan of that Montepresso for sure. So putting the everything back together, as I mentioned, I actually had an issue with that pickup, so that's not the pickup that ends up in the guitar itself, but I'm using just inexpensive parts. So if we were to buy this pickup, this would be the one that I ended up using. It's like a $30 pickup, to be honest. It's not branded or anything. And then the one in the neck, I'm using a Tex-Mex that I had lying around, and again, that's also like a $40 range pickup if you were to buy it on its own. So I'm not going into this expensive side. I just want it to be a fuller, like a standard Telecaster tone, right? You're not gonna get that with a super underwound pickup. Again, it didn't sound bad, it just sounded thin, to be honest. So putting everything back together, I'm actually excited about this guitar. I really like the color. It looked a completely different color on the photos, so I'm really happy how it turned out. It actually, from what I see in the monitor, it looks the right color. But yeah, everybody can see colors differently, so it's like, is it surf green? This is on the photos, it looked more like blue. This looked green to me. So clean it up a little bit. It had some, like, I don't know, like oil or something that turned black on the pickguard itself, and so a little bit of a cleaning doesn't hurt. And I'm just gonna put everything back together. I ended up putting a 4-way switch there, and I ended up using some other pots just because I was already on it. And the neck plate actually is a standard American size. So look at it, looking pretty good. The side by side before and after, look at those like yellow frets to the actual silver nickel looking frets. This is pretty much the perfect thing that I wanted from this guitar for sure. So here we have it. It looks pretty cool. I'm very happy how it turned out, and in a moment I'm gonna show you just a few of the sounds. It really plays well. I did end up scratching by mistake the Squier logo, so I ended up removing it. That Squier logo is on top, and there's no clear on top of it, so it's easy to scratch. And yeah, that's on me. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Check out the rest of the video where I play a little bit of the guitar. Make sure to like and subscribe, And that's gonna be it for me today, folks. You have a good one. Cooling out.
Thank you.